mentioned, you said no one else in the race. Now, there's someone else, Ms. Keenan, Judge Keenan, that is running also.
Well, she's trying to get back in the race. She ran for mayor. She
lost in the primary.
She did lose in the primary, but now that she's lost in the primary, she's stating that not only does she deserve to go forward, and not just her, but Brandon King as well. So she's stating that in a partisan primary, that I, as a Green Party candidate, should have to run against two Democratic Party candidates. That would be something like if Trump had to run against both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders at the same time. That is asinine. There's no precedent for this anywhere in the country that I have been able to discover. And there have been 4 elections since the charter was changed to create a partisan election, and this has never happened then.
So will she be on the ballot?
Well, I don't know. This is going to be up to the Board of Elections and the courts to decide. No one knows right now.
Okay.
But I think it's a great distraction.
Yeah.
And that really she ran in a partisan race. Brandon King won the plurality of the votes. And he won the primary election. And that should be that. And if they wanted to have a runoff scenario, then they should have put that in the charter amendment that she was involved in supporting. And so to me, this is just another example, this issue with the charter now, of their failure of leadership, and if she knows that this is wrong, not just in the sense that they took a perfectly good aspect of the charter, nonpartisan primaries where any individual who wanted to serve the city could put his name on the ballot and ask for the support of their neighbors, and then they created a partisan issue out of it, and then they screwed it up, and then they screwed the language up, and allowed the provisions of the charter that were in place before you had a partisan primary to stay in place, some of which were contradictory to the idea of the new charter. Okay.
So well, since it's up in the air, let's say she is on the ballot. Some people are saying she has a lot of political experience, more than most people.
Absolutely.
So how would you say, how do you combat that?
Well, I wouldn't say combat, I would just make people aware. So when people say she has so much experience, I'd say, okay, yes, she's been in public office in East Cleveland for over 30 years. And what is the current state of the city of East Cleveland? Where has she made a difference? And what is she going to do in the next 4 years? What does she bring to the table now that she didn't bring to the table over the last 30 years? How is she going to have a vision for East Cleveland now that she didn't have over the last 30 years? And she was involved in that same grouping of leaders who've been involved in the city and running the affairs of the city since the 1980s. And what is the state that we're dealing with? She can't say she turned around. She has experience. She's been the president of the school board for 10 years. The entire time that she's been on the board, she's been president. And our schools are at the bottom of the state. We are, I think, something like 606 out of 608 school districts. So she has experience with that. She's had experience with inheriting the leadership of a school board at the bottom of the state, and over 10 years not being capable at least, of taking the school district not into like the top 10 or the top 100, but we haven't even cracked the top 600. So I don't think that one can tout their experience in leadership of, let's say, the school board, when you've been in leadership for 10 years, and in the school district in East Cleveland has gone from sometimes 608 to 605 to 607, 606, but always at the bottom. I would say her popularity is overestimated. We just had an election. We just had a primary election. And a candidate who had, routinely gotten thousands of votes in school board elections got just slightly over 500 votes. And what may be the most decisive election the city of East Cleveland has had in the last, 60 years. So with all the money that she had, with all the name recognition that she had, 10 years as school board president, 20 years roughly as judge, 500 votes. That's what that translated into, 500 votes. And, Brandon King was almost 800 votes. So she only got 100 votes more than Mansell Baker, who served one term on council that was not even an elected term, it was an appointed term. And he is currently not a public official in the city of East Cleveland. And she only got a little bit more than 100 votes than Mansell. So I think her popularity is overestimated.